Welcome to Wellness Real Estate TV. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we've got a special guest, Linda Ugelow, on the show. If you're a realtor who knows you need to be making videos to build trust online, or you've thought about hosting a workshop or community event, but the idea of public speaking makes you want to hide, this episode is for you. Linda is a speaking confidence coach, author of the book Delight in the Limelight, and a former performer with over 4 decades of experience on stage and in front of camera. She helps entrepreneurs, coaches, and professionals overcome visibility fears so they can show up fully, powerfully, and comfortably, whether it's on video, at a podium, or on social media. Today, she's here to help you stop dreading the spotlight and start speaking with confidence, clarity, and ease. Let's grow. Welcome to Wellness Real Estate TV, your go-to source for fresh lead-generating marketing strategies. If you're ready to stand out, attract clients, and position yourself as a trusted community expert who leads with care, you're in the right place. With the wellness real estate market projected to hit $850 billion by 2027, now's the time to tap into this movement. I'm Sheila Alston, founder of Healthy Home Media, and I help agents all across the country who are just like you leverage this growing trend to spark more engagement, generate leads, and increase sales by becoming the community connector you're meant to be. Let's grow. Hi, Linda. I've got Linda Ugelow here. I'm so excited about our conversation today. Welcome.
Nice to be here, Sheila. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking about public speaking, and I know that's such a huge fear for so many people. What made you passionate about helping people and becoming better public speakers?
The reason why I'm so passionate is because I struggled with public speaking fear for most of my life, which means decades. And when I got over it, it felt so freeing. It felt like the world opened up before me. So
Mhm.
many things that I didn't allow myself to do, I could now easily do without thinking or overthinking. It opened up opportunities and it made me frustrated that I had been looking out there for a solution and I hadn't found something that had worked for me. So once I discovered what worked for me, I felt like I wanted help to contribute to the conversation around overcoming the fear of public speaking because I figured if I was struggling and I had a lot of advantages being a performer with a women's world music group for 40 years. So I was even on stage for 40 years and still I was struggling. So if someone with the advantage that I had of being on stage
Mhm.
was struggling with this, certainly lots of other people were too. And I think that's the case. I think a lot of people are left frustrated and feeling like there's something wrong with them because everything they find online doesn't really help move the needle very far.
Well, and I do think that's probably it's one of the biggest fears that most people have. I don't know what the stats are, but it's probably like 90% of people hate public speaking and they don't want to do it, right? And as a realtor, you might think maybe you just will avoid public speaking. You don't really want to do that. But I would say that it limits people from even posting on social media and they know that that's important. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I feel like this is one of the reasons why I would encourage really anyone who has a business or is the face of their work in particular to take this seriously because you are going to put a limit on your capabilities and your visibility and your the way you're able to build a following around you or customer base if you are not going to put yourself out there. So it's not just getting on social media, it's doing open houses, it's having your customer connection calls, and how we feel, how comfortable do we feel one on one or when people are coming into a home that we're showing? Or, do you have a dream of maybe presenting to a group of realtors on what you do, but you're holding yourself back, or you think, oh, I could never do that. I'll let other people do that. I think that's a real limitation that we unnecessarily place on ourselves only because have been conditioned to be afraid to speak in public.
Right. Well, and even if you were a realtor and you wanted to host little educational group seminars, like new homebuyer seminars or something, if you have a fear of public speaking, you might not do that. And that could be such a great lead source for you.
Absolutely.
What do you think are the most common fears that people have around public speaking?
Well, I believe that people are worried about what other people think, first and foremost. They're
Mhm,
worried about being judged. They're worried about looking foolish, about damaging their reputation if they're not, they feel like they're nervous. They feel like that will show badly on them.
mhm,
For me, actually, when I asked myself, if the fear could talk, what would it say? What came back was, you're going to be attacked. So I
mm,
was afraid of being attacked. I didn't even realize that until I asked myself that question.
mm,
But as soon as I said that, I had these immediate memories of being attacked when I was a kid by my two older sisters who
mm,
were jealous of me every time mom put me in the center of attention. She would say things like, "Why can't you girls be more like Linda?"
mhm.
Which was their cue to kick me in the shins, to pin me down on the floor and torture tickle me, call me stupid, say shut up.
Oh, geez.
And when I thought about that, I thought, well, no wonder why I'm not comfortable speaking on camera or speaking from the stage, like introducing a song in my music group, because I learned it was dangerous to be in the center of attention.
Right. So that was probably, was that the most important thing was to kind of learn why you have these fears, do you think?
I felt like it was essential because I had done so many other things. I had really good stage presence. I
Mhm,
knew how to like stand on the stage and be poised. I was comfortable moving my body because movement therapy is my background. I feel very comfortable dancing and having any number of people look at me. That's like a non-issue. So I didn't have that kind of thing of discomfort of being seen. It was all about being heard. And it was when I opened myself to the possibility and the reality that these past experiences, not just my sisters, but I was bullied in seventh grade.
mhm,
I had a mean teacher who didn't get me and embarrassed me in class. I was pressured to be perfect by my mom. I had a dad who told me point blank, I'm not interested in what you have to say.
mhm,
And all these things kind of add up to have made me felt like it wasn't safe to be seen, that people wouldn't be interested in what I had to say, that I shouldn't take up too much space. I should like talk really fast and get it over with so I don't burden people. And once I once I uncovered these parts of my past, which truthfully I think of as a gift,
mhm,
because if I hadn't uncovered it, I wouldn't have realized they needed to be resolved or healed in some way.
mhm.
And as it turned out, I happened to have through all my master's degree in expressive arts therapy and through a lot of self-help and my backgrounds in psychology, I had tools to clear this stuff away. And I actually was able to do it in a matter of 5 days.
Wow.
And that was back
Wow.
in 2015.
That just really proves that it is a mind block. And that once you get rid of the mind block, you're okay.
Well, I don't know if I would say it's just in the mind because I think that mindset is not the whole thing. It's in our
Okay.
body. It's a pattern of belief in our
Hmm.
body. So it's psychological, it's emotional, it's physical as well. When clients come to me, they talk about like their body is out of their control. They start sweating or shaking or
Hmm.
their heart is racing or mouth is getting dry, they blush, they feel nauseous, all of these things. It's like they can't just tell themselves, oh, fear is the same thing as excitement. So just pretend you're excited.
Right, right. Well, so then what do you ask what should you ask yourself? I mean, I feel like that's pretty deep thinking and most
It is.
people don't go there, right? So if you're one of those people that just goes, gosh, I have all of these I get sweaty and I have all of these symptoms that happen, but I don't know why. And what would you ask yourself to kind of be able to dig deeper?
Well, the first place I like to look is what was your relationship like with your family members?
Hmm.
Was it all supportive or was there somebody that you could never please or that was narcissistic or took up all the airtime? Or like my father, as I said, told me he wasn't interested in me and I felt that way. My mom was very supportive in some ways, but in other ways she was very critical. Like when I brought home my report card, it had all A's, but one was an A minus. And I guess she thought she was being funny when she said, "Why an A minus and not an A plus?" But
Mm-hmm.
that really stuck with me. It made me feel like I was not going to be good enough unless I was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard burden to carry. And
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're speaking, because speaking is a very imperfect, experimental, improvisational activity.
Mm-hmm.
We need to trust ourselves and give ourselves wide berth for, saying things, stumbling over our words or saying things not quite the way we mean them. Or, I mean, everybody can relate to that, right? I mean, whoever feels like everything that comes out of their mouth comes out perfectly? It just doesn't. So these things, I would say start with the family, then go to school. Like, did you feel like you weren't smart enough, or did you feel like you had to be perfect like me? Were you ever bullied? Did you have a mean teacher that didn't get you? Did you feel like you were always on the outside of the cool crowd?
Mm-hmm.
I was just working with a client who had a lot of friend groups, but was always feeling like on the periphery of them. He was never like really, on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt when he got up on stage that, well, it shouldn't be me. It probably should be somebody else, someone who, is popular or knows what they're saying. But what we fail to realize that we have as much right to take up space and to have a voice as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow.
but when we have these experiences that lead us to believe otherwise, we do need to take care of it. So what I'd say to a realtor, like, you're saying, "Oh my God, this woman's as you say, is going really deep."
Mm-hmm.
Well, first and foremost, we're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And as a human being, we've had past experiences. We were raised in certain environments, and it would be foolish for us to think that it didn't impact us, that we haven't been conditioned in some way. And that it's not a big leap to say some of those ways that we've been conditioned have had a negative impact on how we express ourselves, how we take up space, how we use our voice, how comfortable we feel around people. Are we feeling somewhat paranoid and worried about what they think of us?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we there kind of just with an open heart and saying, "Welcome, so glad, and being happy to meet these people and find out about them," because ultimately that's where we want to be. We want to be able to be present so we can connect with our potential clients and customers. If we've
Yeah,
got stuff from the past that's pulling us away from that, why would we want it there? Let's clear it away so we can be the best in our work that we can be.
for sure. I mean, but what if someone is telling themselves, I'm just not a speaker. I can't speak, or they have that limitation because of all of these things in the past that have made them feel this way. How do
Hmm.
you move them to someone who feels like I have a message worth sharing, or I am important enough to be able to get up in front of people and talk?
Yeah. Well, I think one way to look at it is you weren't always a realtor
Hmm.
and you learned.
Hmm.
You studied, you committed yourself. So it's the same thing with speaking.
Hmm.
Of course, you may not feel as skilled as you will be
Hmm.
if you put some time and energy into it. The people like who come into my accelerator program, we clear the stuff. I give them lots of practice on camera and thinking on their feet so they feel really comfortable and they enjoy, making a video every day and it feels like second nature.
Hmm.
But it's because they're doing it. They're putting in some time and attention to make it happen. They're spending time with exploring how they use their speaking voice because they want to come across as more confident and competent and charismatic and compelling rather than kind of flat, monotone, lacking energy. And so it's like any other skill that you're going to learn. If you're going to learn how to make lasagna, you got to read the recipe and you need
Practice.
to got to practice a little bit. You
Yeah,
got to know how
yeah.
to move. I've met people who say, "I don't know how to boil an egg." Well, there's a way to get from zero to hero with that, and it's the same thing with speaking. So we just need to commit ourselves that this is going to be a game changer, which I think it is in our business, to become more compelling, charismatic, present, open hearted, confident, relaxed. Why? Because when people like to be around people that they feel comfortable with. And when you're comfortable with yourself, that's going to read to others
Mhm.
that they can be comfortable with you too.
So the common advice is just to power through it, fake it till you make it. Is that what I'm hearing? That you just need to
Mm,
practice and do it every day and just get out there and do it.
no, 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 no. I don't think so. I think the practicing is important
Hmm.
after you clear the fear.
Okay. Okay.
So this is one of the things that I noticed. So when I first became an online coach, and it wasn't on this topic because I didn't realize yet that I had something to offer in this arena.
Hmm.
I was a life coach, and I had gotten on Periscope. I was getting on Periscope every single day because the marketing guru said you got to do that to build a following. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And of course, after a few weeks, I won't be as terrified as I was the first week. But after the first week, I realized that I couldn't manage the anxiety that I was feeling. So I started to do things like kicks and punches to give my jitters a place to go. And then I do some meditation and affirmations and deep breathing, power poses. I had a whole big, ritual that I would use to get on. And it helped me manage my anxiety.
Hmm.
And so the weeks went by and I got to week 10. That was like 75 days of powering through it. And I realized my heart is still racing, it's still pounding.
Yeah.
All those days did not get me to feeling more comfortable, calm, and confident.
Hmm.
And that it was actually on day 75 that I did finally ask, what is this fear? If
Hmm.
the fear could talk, what would it say?
Hmm.
And that's what led me to this whole process that I now call the inner freedom framework. That when we take the time to reveal and heal what is going on,
Hmm.
that is when we're able to learn the skills with ease.
So what does it look like and how do you feel once you've realized, once you've broken through that fear? How will they know? Like they just feel more comfortable or just is it kind of a wow, you've let go of something and now all of a sudden you can speak in public?
Largely, yes. Not,
Really?
I mean, largely you'll feel definitely more comfortable right away. You know why? Because you're not getting triggered. This is
Oh.
the thing that when we've got these old experiences or messages, when we're put in front of, now it may not be the same for everyone. Some people might be comfortable in person, but not comfortable on camera, vice versa.
Hmm.
Or certain kinds of people make you more nervous than others. Maybe it's gender, maybe it's age, maybe it's position.
Hmm.
But you, but whatever it is, when you are feeling anxious, it is that you are getting triggered. And so when you do clear these old things, the trigger isn't there. And that's why you feel more comfortable because you're you're not your body isn't taking over.
Okay.
The things that so I've been actually on my podcast, Delight in the Limelight podcast. I've been doing some coaching episodes. And I think I have four or soon to be five or six coming out. And people share, the kinds of things that are going on for them. And these are people who are already speakers or podcasters.
Hmm.
And yet maybe they've got a speaking gig coming up and they say, I'm feeling nervous. And so I've been coaching them on my podcast. And I just got an email from someone who was really, really nervous, but he was the kind of person that after 15 minutes, he'd feel okay.
Mm.
Once he got into it, he would calm down.
Hmm.
But he was still so anxious before he started in the beginning of his keynote. But he wrote me and he said, got rave reviews. I had a great time. I wasn't nervous at all. And that's what happens. It's like you're the things that of the past finally feel like they're in the past
Hmm.
rather than they're clinging onto you, clamoring for attention.
Hmm.
And that's what I sort of look at this as a gift,
Hmm.
a fear of speaking. I don't see the fear of speaking as the villain itself. It's more a messenger
Hmm.
pointing to those things. And that's why it's a gift, because if we didn't have this fear, we wouldn't realize we've got all this stuff that is getting in the way.
That's a good way to look at it. It's kind of like your gas gauge tells you when it's empty. It's not something to be afraid of or worried about. You just know, oh, I need to fill up some gas. So if something's pointing to you that's a fear, it's just telling you, maybe you can work through this and then it can go away.
Yeah. And I think one of the people's resistance to this is the model that they have is talk therapy, which is
Hmm.
long-term therapy. I don't do that. I use different modalities that are we use in one session. If someone's talking about being bullied at boarding school, maybe we'll do something in that one session to clear it away, and it may not even need to come back again. It's gone. We'll just move on to something else. Oh yeah, then there was this thing with my siblings, or maybe there was this thing at school, or my father, whatever. Everything we do need to address, but it's not a long term. It doesn't take a long time to get over it. And that's what I would love to impress upon people is like, it's
Yeah.
worth it, because it doesn't, like my chapter 5 in my book, Delight in the Limelight, has the different modalities that I recommend. It's not like it's exclusive or all inclusive, because there are many ways to heal, but I do feel that if we can incorporate a multimodality approach, it's even more potent,
Hmm.
because we are multidimensional people. We we are emotional, we are mental or cognitive, we are spiritual even, and we're physical obviously too. So if we do things that kind of address us as human beings on those different levels, then we have a better chance of quickly clearing these things away.
So what I hear you saying is that it's not just a shift in your mindset. It's all of these different modalities that can help you release resistance and things that are blocking you. But that at the end of it, you kind of do have a bigger shift in your mindset where you're telling yourself that I can speak in public or and you're not saying I'm not a public speaker. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, 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 I am. And I feel like there is a mindset element to it, because we have to understand that we're not going to be great or a natural without some amount of effort. So even after we clear stuff away, we're going to want to learn how to take up space. I would say learn to enjoy your speaking voice. Learn to take up more time when you speak. And
Mm-hmm.
do that with the people that you feel most comfortable with first. I'm a big believer of, rather than jumping outside your comfort zone, to stretch the comfort zone that you have. So if you feel comfortable talking with your partner or your children or certain friends or colleagues, allow yourself to take up more space there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're telling a story about work or a house you saw, like don't rush through it. Get into the details. Get into your enjoyment of speaking about things.
Mm-hmm.
Letting
That
your
seems so much more like easy to do because I think that's what people are scared of is jumping outside their comfort zone. But if you just let them know it's safe to stay in there, but push the boundaries a little bit, it seems like something more doable.
Yes, yes, because those are our places where we can feel brave and do
Hmm.
something new. And I think the operative word is to allow ourselves to be a new version of ourselves.
Hmm.
That we can, like if you are a fast speaker
Hmm.
because you feel like you're worried about taking up people's time, or
Hmm.
you're feeling nervous so you just want to get it over with. When you're with those people who you are most comfortable, that's the space for you to feel brave and to
Hmm.
slow down and to enjoy the sound of your voice. I mean, now just I'm just thinking of what I just said. Loving the sound of your voice has been used as a put down for people. Isn't that the craziest thing? We say, oh, that person loves the sound of their voice, meaning they just love to take up all the airtime.
Mm-hmm.
Getting over your fear of speaking and learning to love the sound of your voice does not equate with somebody who is unaware and unconscious that they're taking up all the airtime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Part of the skills of being a good speaker are being a good listener
Mm-hmm.
and inviting everybody at the table or everyone around a place to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that we can do as well as speakers is invite others to share. Make sure that the person who's hanging back because they're shy or the other people are taking up too much space, that you can say, hey, Janet, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think even as realtors, we can do that. Or I'm not, shouldn't put myself there because I'm not a realtor, but realtors can do this because you're often, working with a couple or working with a family,
Mm-hmm.
and you can draw the different people out of the whole, group, the family group that you're working with.
Well, I think most realtors probably see themselves as really good with working with people one-on-one or being, in person with people. But I do find that a lot of realtors just have major resistance with filming themselves and being videoed on social media. That's a big roadblock for a lot of realtors. And they know that they need to put themselves out there so that people can find them, right? They don't want to, or maybe they don't want to market themselves. They don't want to be talking about real estate because they don't want to be pushy. So there's a whole bunch of agents who call themselves referral agents and they end up being secret agents because they're not talking about what their value proposition is. They're not talking about themselves enough to where people know what makes you different. Why should I hire you? Because in today's, day and age, it's no longer just about being top of mind and being friends with someone because everybody's friends with like 7 or 10 realtors. So then they won't want to pick amongst their friends. They'll try to make a logical decision and, pick an agent for some other reason. Sometimes it's just whoever's selling the most on my street, right? So how can you speak up a little bit more so people learn more about you and so that they can choose you?
Yeah, getting on camera again, it's something that if you're following someone who says just do it, I think that's a disservice to you because it's a new technology. I mean, yeah, we feel like, oh, it's been around for, I don't know, a couple of decades, but it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty new. That's pretty new in the course of, human existence. And why should we feel comfortable speaking on camera without having had a place to explore it? I mean, if you are testing out a new recipe in the kitchen, I'm a foodie, so that's why I'm talking about food. You know, do you want to serve it at a dinner party without testing it out first?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. The same thing with video. I recommend using video as a tool to explore first before you publish
Mm-hmm.
second. So try doing a video diary. Turn the video on every day and just talk about it. As you go through, the listings, talk about what you think about the listings.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, what you just visited. But do it for yourself first
Mm-hmm.
and watch it back and see what you like and see what you want to change
Mm-hmm.
and play around with it until you feel like, oh, I am comfortable with how I'm expressing myself. I'm comfortable with the kinds of things I'm talking about. I'm letting my personality come out. Then you are ready to post publicly because, and I'm not talking about being perfect, not at
Yeah.
all. We're
Yeah.
talking about being good enough, but even getting to that place of feeling good enough, there's a distance to travel because a lot of people aren't doing it. They're maybe have it on their calendar. I'm going to make some videos today, and they never do it.
Mm-hmm.
They keep procrastinating because they don't feel comfortable. One way to feel comfortable is to get on. I mean, in my comfy on camera portion of the accelerator, the first week we are simply exploring what does it feel like to be relaxed on camera.
Mm-hmm.
We start the first day off, people are making a video of like, okay, I'm going to relax on camera now. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to connect. I notice my breath, and they narrate what they feel with their eyes closed, and it's really beautiful. And it's so I they do that every single day in order to feel grounded
Mhm.
in their body while on camera. Then we start talking to the camera, and we create a relationship to the camera that's friendly and not just friendly, but full of gratitude.
Mhm.
Because in truth, the camera lens is an amazing piece of technology. I mean, look what we're doing now. Isn't this
Mhm.
amazing?
Mhm.
Who would have guessed? I didn't grow up thinking that I
Yeah.
could do something like this. So there's that, and then there's like allowing ourselves to be seen. What does it feel like to allow ourselves to be seen, and
Mhm.
how do we most, in the most positive way, want to feel about our audience? So that's even nothing is too small to practice, is what I'm saying. Then we'll start playing with how do we gesture and mindset and playing with storytelling. And then at the very end, we get into talking about our business. But it's a very, very gradual step by step approach.
Mhm.
And I think people can do that for themselves too. Like allow yourself to create a relationship with making videos, a relationship to being on camera. And let me just reel it back a little bit because one stumbling block that is
Mhm.
likely to happen is
Mhm.
that people watch themselves on camera and they cringe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And in the program, I have a whole week, which is 5 days to watch yourself on camera without cringing because of that. It's so important to that we don't look to criticize. However, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, what I recommend is that get it all out of your system, make a list of everything that you don't like, and then look at that list. Consider it. Like, what are the
Mhm.
things that you can change? Don't be mean to yourself, just
Mhm.
what can be changed.
It's like
What are
pretending
the
that your
things
best friend was on there. And would you really beat up your best friend for trying something new? You probably wouldn't,
E-
right? So,
Exactly, exactly. So look at the things that you can change, learn to be kinder about the things that you can't, like as if you're your own best friend.
Mhm.
And also look to find things that you like and appreciate and you feel proud of,
Mhm.
because that's going to ultimately be what is the confidence builder is when you can be your own inner ally, your own best friend.
I love that so much. And it's such a different approach from what you're hearing typically from public speaking coaches, I think. Um, what do you think is the biggest mistake that people are making when they're in front of the camera or in front of a group of people?
Well, I'd say in front of the camera, it's not being connected with themselves.
Mhm.
They're trying just to think of what to say. And so they're kind of disembodied. They're not really connected with the voice and how they're delivering the words. They're not really connected physically with themselves. So there's this kind of tension in their body,
Mhm.
this ill at ease feeling. So I think that number one is to connect with yourself. Like feel your feet on the floor, feel the position of your body, release the tension, practice relaxing on camera. I
Mhm.
mean, it's so simple. It's so simple, but it will. What happens is that people can feel that in you, just like I was mentioning before, even on camera, across the internet, people can sense when you are not connected. Now, whether or not that impacts their ability to connect with you, there are lots of factors with that.
Mhm.
But why not utilize all the elements that you have control over?
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. Oh my gosh, this is such a big, I mean, for me, I didn't realize, I mean, I guess I'm more comfortable on camera than I used to be, 4 years ago, and it has taken practice. But to to think that, spending time relaxing on camera, watching yourself. I remember the first time I heard myself when I started my podcast, I was like, is that really what I sound like? Because hearing yourself speak and hearing yourself when you're listening to yourself recorded does sound different. You know,
Absolutely.
being okay with that, I guess, right?
Yes, yes. And it's not just okay. I feel like we're conditioned to really limit the way we express ourselves because we have grown up being worried about what other people think and fitting in and behaving correctly and wanting to be liked. And so we end up with a narrow part of ourselves being expressed where there is so much more inside us. There's more passion, there's more dynamics, there's more playfulness, there's more um, character.
Hmm. Well,
But we all,
you have so you mentioned your framework. Can you tell us a little bit about the framework and kind of the process that you're taking your clients through to get to feeling comfortable on camera or on stage?
yes, absolutely. So the first thing is to reveal and heal the stuff
Hmm.
or the messages we got, like children should be seen and not heard, or silence is golden, or don't talk back to your elders, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
The second part is to restore a sense of safety. And
Hmm.
we do that by learning to be kind to ourselves instead of the mean bully inside.
Hmm.
And we also, especially like in a program such as mine, the community is so safe and supportive and encouraging and loving
Hmm.
that people feel so uplifted by being on a journey with other people doing the same thing and that are quick to point out what is wonderful about each individual. So you end up, getting filled up by this very warm, safe community. So restoring a sense of safety is number two. The third thing is to repattern our habits, which is the way we are present in our bodies, how we use our voice, how we use our body to express ourselves, even how we breathe. Because a lot, I know for myself, I was very tight in my chest
Hmm.
for years, many years. I felt very constricted, even though I had been taking voice lessons weekly for a couple of decades. By the time I was in my 30s and 40s, I felt like my chest was still tight. So
Hmm.
these are things that we pick up because of our circumstances. And unless we're aided to repattern, to swap those things out for something new, we feel, as I mentioned, in a very narrow space of self expression. So what we want to do is play around, creatively speak in different ways, do different kinds of voices. We can be like kind of low, like Yogi Bear. We can be, excuse me. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's not like we're going to use that for the, the breadth of our conversations, but
Yeah.
why not bring that in every once in a while just for fun? I mean, don't
Mm.
we all want to have more fun?
Yeah.
And and if we are seen as somebody who is fun to be with,
Hmm.
and also empathic and understanding and gets you, then it's a winning combination.
Well, it's like if you were reading a child a story, bedtime story, and you just read it plain versus reading it with the character's voice and being a little more animated. The child would totally love listening to that. I wonder how you could do that as a realtor, though, if you're talking, if you're not telling a story.
Well, it's like, okay, look at this kitchen, it's to die for.
Yeah, being a
Or
little more animated in your voice.
yeah,
It just does
or
grab attention.
I love this, I love these colors, or this
Yeah.
space, like allow, like we can jump up and down, we can twirl around. It's like you bring up children, and I really look at children and look toward children as showing us what are we supposed to really be like.
Mm, right.
And that's it. Children love the sound of their voice. They love playing with words. They love exploring. They love being seen. It's like,
Right,
look at me,
right.
look at me.
Even something as simple as starting your video with the door shut and opening the door and saying, "Hey, welcome. Come see this great new house,"
Yeah,
versus just recording you standing there, telling you about how many bedrooms it is and that sort of thing.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think what I would love for people to take away from today,
Hmm.
listening, is let yourself experiment more and think of it as an experiment.
Hmm.
So don't worry that a particular video isn't good enough. Do a whole bunch of videos and try out different things and see what you enjoy, what feels like most like you. Like it could be that door opening, or it could be that you're walking down the front walk, or
Yeah.
you're driving up,
Yeah.
or whatever it is that you can put your little thumbprint on, that this is my way of doing it.
I love that. Okay, so I see you have a book, Delight in the Limelight, and you do have a course. What's the difference? Can someone buy your book and learn all of the tools that they need to start talking better on camera and in public?
Well, that was my intention, for to guide people from the dread of speaking to all the way to enjoying the speaking that you do, to delight.
Mhm.
Because I feel like, why stop at just not being afraid? Let's have fun with it. Speaking is our human design. So
Yeah.
yes, it is designed to take people through a whole transformation, and many people have done it. A
Mhm.
lot of people have read the book and then they say, "But I want to be guided by you." And they come and they either work with me privately or they join my Delight in the Limelight accelerator, where we get comfy on camera. We learn to love and transform our voice. We clear the fear. We learn to think on our feet, and really start to, like, everybody opens into this new world of, I me too. Me
I
too. I
love
like to
it.
speak.
So what is the first step? If someone's listening and they haven't heard of you before, or they want to get more comfortable on camera, what do you suggest that they do?
I would say, well, I always recommend my book. I think it has more than 100 reviews. A lot of people have loved it. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to start. You can also download a free preparation checklist.
Okay.
And these are 7 different rituals or practices that you can do to feel more grounded, more
Mhm.
focused, more energized before you're going to be speaking someplace. And you can get that at Linda Ugelow, UGELOW.com/rituals, or just go to my website at lindaugelow.com and it'll be obvious.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. I loved everything you shared. I just think that it's going to be so helpful for most agents, because I every agent I talk to seems to roll their eyes and think, "Oh, I know I need to be on video more, but I'm not." And there's a roadblock there, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So,
Let's remove the roadblocks so you can not only, have more impact and hopefully a bigger bank account from
yeah,
your work, but you can have more fun and you
yeah.
can really enjoy the work even more, because expressing ourselves when we are unafraid is a delight.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Linda. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Sheila. So glad to be here.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.